Mine's empty.
That was mine.
Well, where's mine then?
I don't know where yours went.
You took it.
I didn't take it.
You're a thief. It doesn't just disappear. You totally took my can of energy. Oh, it's in the trash can. I apologize for calling you a thief. I like this shirt. It's all good in the hood. I should rewrite Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We should rewrite that song. Let's have the day, have a beautiful you. Might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my adventurer? Won't you be? Won't you please? Please won't you be my adventurer?
Welcome, neighbor.
Welcome, adventurer. Hello, adventurer. So one of the things that you've been asking a lot about is editing photos. Now, like in Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, we showed you how there is some limited photo editing. You can add some filters, but sometimes you're gonna need a little bit more. So we are gonna show you an app that's gonna help you do that. But why is it important to be editing photos? Well, again, you know, they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and we kind of did the math earlier, and let's go back in time and see that. I'm saying the average number of words in the English language is 5.1. If you take 140 characters, is like 40 to 60. You divide that by 5.1. So when they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, a picture is worth like 20 to 30 posts. According to my math, 35.71 to be exact. So you see, it is important that you have great photos. Those photos are important also because if everybody isn't editing their photos, you want yours to be compelling. You want yours to stand out. It also helps develop a style so that when somebody sees your photos, they recognize that that looks like a photo that you would do. Editing photos lets you sometimes, you know, crop in on areas. That's why we say, hey, take a lot of photos. So sometimes I don't just go and snap that photo. This isn't costing you per photo like it is film where you gotta then wind it and do that. I'm taking lots of photos. I'm even using the volume buttons on my iPhone and it's taking them really fast. And then I'm taking a little bit wider than I need. Why? Because these pictures are a lot bigger than what is going to show up on your social media post. Yeah, you want those bigger if you're gonna print them out as GIFs, but on social media, you need much smaller sizes. So being a little farther away means that, hey, you can zoom in and crop, and then you can even zoom in a little bit more. And photo editing allows you to fix things like red eye, or it allows you to fix blemishes. The bottom line is better photos increases engagement. So we wanted to pick an app that would work across all platforms. It works on your iOS device, but it also works on your Droid device. So we're gonna jump right in, and it is a program called Aviary. So this is Aviary, and so I just loaded a picture in here. This was before Jeremiah stole my can of my favorite energy drink. So the first thing that you want to do is you're going to look at the enhance button. It has a preset for, let's say it was shot at night. It already has some settings that's going to help that photo look better. Setting for food, a setting for scenery, setting for portraits. If I put that portrait photo on, it's bumping up a lot of our skin tones. Those are just some enhancements that you can do. You don't always have to do. I'm not actually gonna select any for this, but I want you to know that that's there because it might, depending on your photo and the environment you took it in, that might bump up some of the details and the brightness there for you. But the first thing that we're gonna do is you always wanna start out with then cropping. And what I need to always know is that, you know, again, I'm gonna shoot wider, and if I was on Instagram, because it's a square, it's gonna show it there. Now, also what I could do is, let's say I only wanted to have this be my photo. Well, then that could be my Instagram photo. And if I would apply that, it's gonna be in that size for me because my photo is such high resolution that that's not gonna look like it's blurry or blown up. But let's say I'm not gonna put it on Instagram, I still can custom go in and say, you know what, I'm gonna, just to bring focus, I'm gonna bring this down a little bit here. I'm gonna bring over this side just a little bit more, and I'm gonna get rid of some of this space and bring it right under here. And now that allows me to be like, oh, well now I brought that in just a little bit more. So again, that's really good to start out with cropping. Another great feature of Aviary is that a lot of the apps don't have is, let's say I've added all these, I'm adding effects, I'm doing that. I don't like what I did and I messed up. I can just swipe and I go backwards. It has the ability to go back on my photo and it saves that. So that's where I was. and that's where I'm at there. So anytime on any of these features, you can just swipe back and it's kind of like an undo. And you can undo multiple steps, which is nice. So lighting, now every photo editor has a version of some of these next buttons. So brightness, and so in this photo, there's plenty of brightness to it. But if I wanted to say, hey, if it was overdone or not enough, I could adjust that with the brightness there. So contrast, now I love to play with contrast because creating that contrast is what creates tension and drama. So by nature, a lot of the films and some of the epic things that you see have more contrast. So even look at Jeremiah's shirt there, I will a lot of times bump up the contrast. And what that's doing is that's making the darks darker and separating the difference between them and the light part. I'm gonna just apply those. And then I'm gonna go over to color. So saturation, something I always like to do is I like to bump up the saturation a little bit. So that's going to take some of those colors and making them pop a little bit. Again, I want your photos to stand out more. So the contrast is gonna draw somebody's eye to that as well as the saturation. Now warmth, look, I'm making that a little bit cooler or a little bit warmer. So adjusting this, again, helps tell a story. Now, fade is something where what I'm doing is I'm kind of washing out the photo. So sometimes that gives even like an older look to it. Looks a little bit cool, looks a little bit vintage. Tint is like an overlay of, hey, I just want to like overlay kind of a color and a tint to everything. Between lighting and color, that allows me to do some really cool things to have my photos stand out more. Then the next thing I want to show you is sharpness. So again, this is even built into something like Instagram, but not into a Facebook and a Twitter. So you might want to go and edit your photo here first. Why I want to do sharpness is that's just going to, if you look at the words for like energy, they're going to pop out a little bit more there. Now, after I have that photo, this is where sometimes I can use effects. So in Instagram, it has these filters. Well, effects is what it's called here. And I can, if I wanted to, they have these preset effects, just like I have them in Instagram. So I edited my photo and I like what it is, but in here, that's where I can say, I can take this photo and if I wanted to go on Instagram, I still can add a filter to that. And this is where I can pick which one that I like. And so if I like that, again, I click on it again and I can even adjust how much. So that's a great photo. But when I add that filter to it, it just adds even a little bit more of a touch to go, I really like that there. And then here is, hey, I just want to focus on the can, but if I wanted to focus on one person and not the other, or I can go linear, and so adjust that. So you're seeing part of us, and that creates that depth of field, and that's what makes something even look like film. Really great photographers, they create depth of field, and so you can simulate some of that by using that focus or that blur. And then vignette. Now again, vignette is something that I also like. I want my vignette to include at least, our faces and the cans, and then I can adjust that around to see, and I can even go the other way with it. And now I've created a little bit of the edge up here and more down here. So your eye is naturally drawn more to the cans in that case. So orientation, what that allows me to do is sometimes I need to, let's say, flip something. Now in this case, I don't want because it would be backwards, but if I needed to flip a photo or rotate it in some way, that's really easy for us to do. So there you have it, lighting, color, sharpness, focus, and vignette. In our next episode, I'm going to show you even some really cool features here with able to do some touch up and some text and some other really fun stuff. So now that I'm done with that photo, I just can save that. And so now I have a version of that. Go ahead and download Aviary. It's a free download and a lot of what you need is built right in. Don't worry about paying for extra features and filters right now. That's something you can always decide to do later, and we'll cover that in an upcoming episode. I want you to take a picture, and that's where I want you to go to all of those settings. You can edit that photo and save it to your camera roll or save that to that folder, and it doesn't mean that you have to post it, but I want you to get used to start to play with those different features and start first with, you're looking at the lighting, and that gets in your brightness and contrast and all that. And then I want you to go to the color, and that's your saturation, how that works. And then Go into some of the things with the sharpness and the vignette and the blur and get that photo you want, and then play with some of those filters. Your photos tell a great story, and that story is a great adventure, and your adventure begins right now.